The Lions roar and run over the Bucs. Jahmyr Gibbs having a Christian McCaffrey type night. Toyota After the Game starts right now.
From ABC 7, this is Toyota After the Game.
Hello and welcome to Toyota After the Game. In our cozy confines for the next couple of weeks, Larry Beal, along with Cal Hall of Fame Mike Pulowski. You can give me the handoff right here. They're this
Very
close.
Yes. Our knees are touching. Be careful.
Yeah, there's no burst, so, but, you know, there's nowhere to go. We'll do a deep dive on the 49ers' stout defensive effort and their win last night over the Falcons and McCaffrey's huge game. But we'll start with Lions and Bucs, 24-9 Detroit. And let's begin with our Toyota Let's Go Places player of the day, because we mentioned McCaffrey and Jahmyr Gibbs put up tremendous numbers, averaging 8 yards per carry in this contest. 17 carries overall, 136 yards, 2 TDs, along with 3 receptions and 82 yards.
This is a bad feeling if you're a DB. Jahmyr Gibbs just saying, I am faster than you. I'm going to outrun you to the end zone. And I'm not sure exactly what this celebration was.
Like the Avengers with the guy flying over the top.
We need a little better camera angle for that one. But Jahmyr Gibbs just getting it done, and Detroit finding a way to do it on the ground tonight.
That is our Toyota Let's Go Places player of the day. And you'd mentioned just before we came on, David Montgomery used to be kind of a job share with Jahmyr Gibbs, but Jahmyr Gibbs, the way he played tonight,
he seems to have taken that lead spot.
You think?
Yes.
I think so. Our game-changing moment was sponsored by Papa Murphy's Change the Way You Pizza. We pick it up in the fourth quarter. It's 4th down for Tampa Bay, and Baker Mayfield hits the tight end Cade Otton. You're going to see him stretch out here, fumbles at the end of the play. Forget about the fumble because the ground can't cause a fumble. Initial ruling is catch and first down. Dan Campbell says, hey, let's review that. Upon further review, it's called a catch and short of the first down by a matter of inches. So the Lions hold and get the ball back, and that thwarted a Buccaneers comeback. What'd you make of that whole sequence there?
Well, it was interesting because the challenge wasn't even for the spot. And so Dan Campbell really smart to throw the challenge in order to get the spot reviewed in that order. But Cade Otton reached out, and if you look at it live, it looked like that was going to be a first down. But as soon as you watched it on the review, you can see it was a couple inches short.
Yeah, so they had to review a couple of things. Was it a catch? Yes, it was a catch.
Right.
Was it a fumble? No, it wasn't a fumble. Was it a first down?
Right.
No, it wasn't a first down. So it took a while to adjudicate all that, but that was the game-changing moment sponsored by Papa Murphy's. Change the Way You Pizza. More to come on Toyota After the Game. Christian McCaffrey.
My goal this week was CMC NFC Player of the Week. And if I actually called that, that might be the best guess of all time. But I think 200 yards and 2 touchdowns has a shot for it.
He's right. The NFL announces the weekly awards on Wednesday. Kittle could be right about his prediction, although Jahmyr Gibbs,
is going to have something to say about that.
That's a 6 of one, half dozen of the other. CMC accounted for 201 yards of total offense, 129 yards rushing, along with 7 catches for 72 yards, accounting for both TDs that the Niners scored in this game. And if you're just, into the numbers, Gibbs had 218 and 2 touchdowns. Niners have had trouble running the ball all season long, Mike, but the return of George Kittle really seemed to unlock their rushing attack. What was the difference in their approach last night?
Well, he's one of the best blocking tight ends in all of football. So to have George Kittle in there blocking for you, that helps out a lot. They're also running a ton of gap scheme runs inside, and so it seemed that they found something in terms of what they want to do. We'll draw it up in a little bit and pause the play, but the gap scheme running game was something special for the Niners yesterday. Now, they still ran a bunch of outside zone. They ran some outside G, but gap scheme inside, Christian McCaffrey hitting that hole full speed and finding that next level rush. Those big guys in front of you, it's never pretty, but it was effective. And 201 total yards between rushing and passing, or in receiving for CMC. That's a heck of a game.
And he's on pace for more than 1,200 rushing yards and over 1,000 receiving yards. Roger Craig, the only other Niner tailback to accomplish that. McCaffrey did it in 2019. Marshall Faulk, greatest show on turf, back in 1999. So elite company right there. Now, we got to show you the touchdown that sealed the deal in the fourth quarter here, because this cracked me up when I saw it. It's a huge pileup, and McCaffrey is keeping his legs driving. He gets more than a little help from his friends, because Dominic Pooney is pulling Connor Colby, who's then pulling McCaffrey.
Exactly.
And then you've got the center, Matt Hennessy, who's pushing all these dudes from behind. Pushing is allowed. Pulling is not supposed to be allowed. The refs hardly ever call it, and they didn't call it right here. And Connor Colby's like, I got you. I mean, he's got me. I got him.
Well, what are you going to do? You're standing in the middle of that pile. You're going to start pulling people.
Yeah. I mean, take another look at this. Have you been involved in a play like this before?
Oh, yeah. Anytime you get down near the goal line, if you got the ball, you become the center of attention. So the big guys all trying to push you or pull you into the end zone obviously the defense having bad intentions trying to keep you out.
No, I'm just thinking it's weird having a lineman pulling another lineman who's pulling the running back, another guy pushing the running back from the others. And you had everything going on there.
A lot going on.
Yeah, we mentioned Kittle and his return to action for the first time since he pulled his hamstring in the season opener last night. Here's George. Hi, George. Was the first time that he was held without a catch in 126 games, 114 regular season, 12 in the playoffs. But his impact as a blocker, and you see him highlighted right here, really seemed to change everything for the 49ers.
Yeah, they're running that inside zone. He's the crossback man, so he's giving that backside seam. He gets his helmet inside, wash somebody down in. So he's so effective at blocking up front. And he talks about it. He takes pride in blocking. And so not just a pass catcher, which he's very good at, but once you put him in the running game, it changes everything up front for that offensive line and for the running backs.
Yeah, and on Pause the Play, you're going to show us the difference in the strategy. Look at those eyes. That's not scary at all.
Right?
When he's blocking you. The difference strategy that Kyle Shanahan employed in this game, and maybe the difference between the gap scheme and the zone scheme that the Niners we're so used to seeing from them.
Absolutely. You see so much zone scheme in the NFL, but when you have a team that can run gap scheme, it makes it very effective. I want you to watch the left-hand side of the line here. They're going to run what's called power, which means you're going to take the man inside with that 3 technique, and you're going to get a double team pushing him out of the way. You're going to have Juice in the backfield as a fullback kicking the defensive end. And they're going to have McCaffrey leading through, following Dominic Pooney as he wraps to pick up the linebacker. This is gap scheme running. They're clearing that B gap, and they're sending big bodies through to get Christian McCaffrey a hole. He does a great job of seeing the hole, making the cut, getting to that next level, and then making a play one-on-one. So that's the power. Now let's talk about counter. You get the same blocking up front. They're going to try to wash that 3 technique out. Pooney is now going to pull and kick, and Juice at that backside H is actually going to be a pull and be the wrapper. They also call counter swap because you're swapping blocking assignments between the guard and your H-back. But watch the kick by Dominic Pooney. You watch Juice get back up inside, and then once again, CMC following his block. So that's the counter. Now here's a different look for counter. You're also going to see everybody blocking down, clearing that 3 technique. This time you're going to see Kittle flash at the defensive end and then go up on the linebacker. And then once again, Pooney is going to get out and kick that defensive end. When Kittle flashes, he freezes the end, Pooney gets the kick, and CMC finds the hole again.
So can we just explain one thing here, because you're referencing 3 technique?
Yes,
and
that is a defensive tackle who's down over the left guard.
Yeah, so he's the key in terms of where they're going to try to push him and everybody else.
He's the man who's in the gap. Now I'll watch this. This is the game within the game. So we're going to watch the right tackle, McKivitz here. He is on what's called an outside G. He's going to pull. If you're an outside linebacker and you see this, what do? You stop the puller to blow up the play. In this case, Leonard Floyd does that. He literally slingshots himself in to make the play on Christian McCaffrey. And so that's a veteran defensive player making a really smart play. You blow up the gap in 2 ways. Either you take on the double team and you stop it in its place, you cross-hat it, which means you block it and you make the running back bounce, or you stop the puller, and that way everybody can get ahead of it and make the tackle ahead. That time, Leonard Floyd pulled and actually got a horse collar on McKivitz, but then he was able to slingshot himself into the play. So veteran player making a great play.
Basically, you're talking about trying to create a huge traffic jam.
That's exactly. And make the running back bounce.
Jam up the lanes, so he's got to bounce it, and then you get help from your friends. Do you think this is a one-off? Is it Kittle's return that made the change in strategy, or something that they saw with the Falcons defense, which came in very highly touted? Well,
you tend to game plan based on who you're playing, so I think they liked it versus the Falcons, and so I think that was a huge piece of it. The gap scheme is never pretty. It's always a little bit messy, it's a little bit dirty, but I think it's a much more physical form of running, and so I think they had an intention of being physical, showing some toughness on this game, and that was part of choosing to go with the gap scheme.
And it's more like a throwback to old school football, where you pull a couple of linemen and then you get out in front, and I mean the Redskins used to run it for years, and
exactly.
Everybody else too.
Yeah, gap scheme is old school. You're just going to clear a gap. That's why they call it gap scheme. So the B gap, we're going to clear it out. The C gap, we're going to clear it out. And once you do that, now your running back knows to take that path. You got to be physical. You have to have great technique, and your running back has to read that well. Zone scheme, it's just kind of a dance. Everybody moves in the same direction, and wherever the hole opens up, then the running back cuts off of it.
And he can cut behind as well. More to come.
Crime scene.
Asking the court to step in.
Demanding answers.
How is that acceptable?
Fighting for solutions.
How is that going to affect the classroom?
Because what happens here, it's not a game. It's real life, real impact. ABC 7 News, breaking, investigating, building a better Bay Area.
this season, man, I'm just thinking about Fred and then everything we do is for him, man. He done a lot for us. He put his body on the line for us, and we just want to show him that it didn't go unnoticed, and we learned from it, and we're gonna feed off of it.
How about Fred Warner being shown on the scoreboard, and we almost had to go on a silent count because we couldn't hear a play call? How selfish of Fred Warner. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, come on, Fred.
I know, right?
Kittle's the best. Obviously, he was joking about Warner because everybody loves Fred Warner in the locker room. And obviously, the fans feel the same way. It has to be so tough for him because the guys, I mean, last year, he basically played half the season on a broken ankle.
Yep.
And they, were shooting him every week. This week, Tatum Bethune wearing the number 48 Warner jersey that Fred wore in his rookie season in the NFL before he changed to 54. And Fred really got the crowd pumped up every time he was shown. And he's there on a scooter, not a walker, just to clarify.
A little different.
Yeah, he'll be on the scooter. I'm going to be the one that will be using the walker before Fred is.
Soon here, yes.
Yeah, it could happen tonight. But let's talk about Tatum Bethune because Fred works out, I think. He did a pretty good Fred Warner impersonation in this game, had 10 tackles, and this you got to love also is Fred is right there in support of his teammates.
Absolutely.
I mean, you talk about next man up, very easy to say, but you're replacing an all-pro linebacker. A different story, when you got to replace somebody that is so elite. But what did you see from the second-year man out of Florida State?
Well, he brought physicality, he brought toughness to that position, just running over a running back trying to block you there. That's a fantastic job of being physical at that linebacker spot. He wasn't scared to throw himself into the fray, so he stepped up. He wasn't reading it quite as fast as Fred when you watch the game, but he was on his reads. He understood what he was looking at, making the calls out there. And so physical, he was great in the pass rush, getting after Michael Penix back there, just doing an excellent job all night long. If you have to be the next guy up, that means you have to be studying your playbook week in, week out to understand exactly what it is that you're seeing on the field. And obviously, he did a great job of doing that while he was backing up.
And how much of this is defensive coordinator Robert Saleh putting guys in position to succeed? Because you can't count on the number of injuries that they've had.
Oh, yeah, it's a crazy amount of injuries, but it's making the right calls, understanding who you have out there, understanding your personnel, but then guys have to play when they hit the field. Coaches can only do so much. And so Bethune got out there and he actually made plays when he had the opportunity. 10 tackles on the night, a bunch of other things. When you take care of your job, when you hit your run fits, that means you're making plays even though you don't get the stats, and he did it all night long.
And of course, the news is it just got worse because this is the season of x-rays and bandages for the 49ers. Bryce Huff, who was so good yesterday, suffered a hamstring injury, and it happened late in the game when the contest had more or less been decided. I mean, he did a great job of replacing Nick Bosa. Now he's probably going to be out for a couple of weeks with a hamstring, so the pain continues. Huff with a strip sack, 2 quarterback hits, 4 pressures, a season-high 45 snaps, more than any other defensive lineman from either team. So now you don't have him either for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, that is really tough. So you lose your star pass rusher, and he was going to be the opposite bookend. Then you lose your second pass rusher. Makes it really tough for a defense. DBs love when their defensive line is great. It forces quarterbacks to throw in a hurry, forces quarterbacks to throw off platform. But when you can't get after the passer, it makes it very difficult to play in that back end because you can only stay with the receiver for so long. Bryce Huff has been very good back there for the 49ers so far this year. And for them to lose him as well as Bosa, they're going to have to try to manufacture pressures from somewhere else. And I would guess they're going to do it with secondary pressures and linebacker dogs.
Well, the question would be, with the trade deadline coming up, you're 5-2, probably a bit surprising given the number of stars that you're missing. Do you go out and make a deal? Because a week ago, I would have said, forget about it. I mean, this season, you're not going to contend for a Super Bowl this season, but now you look at the way you're winning these games, you're winning ugly, but you're still there at 5-2.
Yeah, I would imagine that everything's on the table right now for John Lynch. He's thinking about, can we make a deal? Can we find somebody? Are the personnel out there that we like for this team, or do we find a way to get it done in the meantime? We bring different pressures, we bring different looks, and then we try to nurse Bryce Huff back to health and see if we can get it done with that.
Yeah, hamstring injuries notoriously tough.
Yes.
There was a tremendous 4th down stop by the Niners in the 4th quarter. Chase Lucas is all over Drake London, and this is all about film study.
Watch some film, would you? Yeah, Chase Lucas talked about it in the postgame. He said, I had seen this so many times. Anytime Drake London lines up in the number 2 spot, meaning he's that inside receiver, he's going to run the out route, especially when he comes out of motion. And so a great job of knowing what you're seeing on film and reacting. Great defense is all about pattern recognition. And that time, he recognized the pattern. He saw Drake London coming at that slot spot on 4th down, and he drove the play. Could have come away with the interception, but a fantastic play to just get his hands on.
Yeah, somehow the Niners have gone 14 games going back to last season without an interception. Yeah. And just to give people an idea, like, how many clips would you watch? I mean, you'd obviously watch, you know, all the offense, but then there's some specific situations that you would look for. 3rd and short, 4th and short. Is it, you know, 10 clips, 20 clips, 100 clips? Or
there's a science to game film now. It's not just watching an entire game and seeing what teams do. You are watching cut-ups of every single game too. So you're watching 1st down snaps, you're watching 2nd down snaps, 2nd and long, 2nd and short. You're watching 3rd down, 3rd and short, 3rd and medium, 3rd and long. And so you're seeing so many different snaps of what you're doing, and you're running situational football every single practice. And so you may have watched the same amount of plays, maybe 40 plays that you're seeing, 4th and short or 3rd and short, whatever it is, but you're watching them over and over and over. You're studying those cut-ups to understand what the tendencies are. As a player, you want to be able to see it and read it and react. So it has to be pattern recognition. If you're operating at that speed, then you're helping your defense out. If you have to think about it before the snap, you get yourself in trouble.
No thinking. That's our motto here.
Yeah, that's right.
Toyota.
That's what we do on this set.
Yeah, exactly. More to come as we continue. In case you missed it, Bucks and Lions. In case you missed it, on a little bit early tonight, Baker and the Bucks taking on Jared Goff and the Lions. First quarter, Goff to Amon-Ra St. Brown. And he strolls into the end zone, 27-yard touchdown.
Did that one the easy way.
Yeah, really. 6 catches for 86 yards for Amon-Ra. Goff to Gibbs. We saw this at the top of the show.
I'm faster than you.
78 yards. Well, we really speeded him up there.
But you run right through the angle.
Yeah. Third quarter, Gibbs with his 2nd touchdown of the game. Nice second effort there as the Lions won. We say easily. It was uncomfortable at a couple of times, but you know, they handled their business 24-9. The other Monday night game in Seattle over on ESPN, all Seahawks, Jackson Smith in Jigba with authority, dunking over the crossbar after the touchdown.
Ohio State University right there.
That's a penalty, by the way.
Yeah, they don't like that.
But that's okay. It's really cool. Seattle is up 14-0 after a quarter. I would say this: if I could catch a touchdown pass, and if I could dunk,
let's start with if I could dunk first.
Well, I got to catch the ball first. Well, either way. A guy in a walker or a stroller is probably not going to do either of those things. Let's go around the league, all right? Former 49ers linebacker Dre Greenlaw suspended for 1 game by the NFL for threatening a game official in the Broncos' win over the Giants. Now, this occurred right after Denver kicks the game-winning field goal. Everybody's happy. We won. We won. Not everybody. Greenlaw.
Dre Greenlaw had a beef with the official. That's the white hat right
there. 57 is chasing down the ref, Brad Allen, and according to the league, verbally threatened the official as they were trying to leave the field. Yeah.
Apparently, a flag is a self-defense technique in the NFL.
Well, you know, you can't let this stuff.
No.
Whatever he said the magic words.
Clearly, he hit the magic button.
Yeah. Greenlaw has 3 days to appeal that suspension. If the penalty is upheld, that will cost him $192,000. That's an expensive sentence.
Well, the thing about the NFL is there's always video evidence, and you can see what's going on there in that video. So not a great idea. Pretty selfish for the rest of your teammate. Now you get suspended. Not to mention the fine, but you're going to miss a game, which means your teammates are going to miss out.
Yeah, that's a good point. And Greenlaw should have been ecstatic based on the Broncos' comeback because this game was insane. Third quarter, Tyrone Tracy Jr., 31 yards to the house. Giants up 19-0. Their win probability is 97.5%. And every time I say win probability, you know things are going to go haywire
it's about to get crazy.
3rd and 17. Jackson darts pass, deflects off one receiver to another. Theo Johnson, 41 yards, 26-8. The win probability, 99.3%. What could go wrong? How about Bo Nix? This is what he can do.
That's right. It's physicality, the ability to run the football, the mobility as a quarterback, and now all of a sudden that win probability goes way down, 85%.
85. Still, the Giants march down the field, dart 1 yard score, 37 seconds left. New York's win probability 78.2%, but they missed the extra point, the 2-point game, and the Broncos, because the Giants, for some reason, were playing a prevent defense, and they just let them march down the field. Will Lutz, 39-yard field goal for the win. Unbelievable. The Broncos, well, They win 33-32, so their win probability at this point is 100%.
100%.
100%. I
yes.
guarantee it.
Yes.
Titans and Patriots. The #1 overall pick, Cam Ward, is going to go to work here. I know you were not a huge fan of Cam Ward going #1.
For these, I mean, shades of Jameis Winston, you know, that's the kind of plays. Cam Ward will make some insane plays where you look at him, you're like, how did he do that? And then he'll make some of these plays where you're like, how did he do that? And just drive coaches crazy. And so he's just kind of, there's an edge to him where he's going to throw the one dumb ball. He's going to make the dumb mistake during the game. And that was a bad mistake.
Well, that was an insane play.
That was an insane play for sure. I bet the fans loved it.
Yeah. So they say the Titans are going to be simplifying the offense for him. They got all kinds of problems in rebuild mode. What can you do?
He comes out of an air raid offense, and so he's been playing in nothing but the air raid. It's a college offense. It's not an NFL offense. And so in order to understand NFL offenses, you need a lot more study. If they slim it down, he's going to be able to execute it better, but defenses can key in on it better too. So that's going to be a problem for Tennessee.
All right, one of the surprises this season, I would say the surprise in the entire league, nobody figured the Indianapolis Colts would be the best team record-wise in the league at 6-1. Here they are against the Chargers. They've got the most points and the best point differential. They're plus 92. Their lone loss was at the Rams. That was 27-20. I mean, Indy, you see Jonathan Taylor, they're a great running back, but this is, again, you know, with Danny Dimes at quarterback, kind of shocking.
Shocking, but you run the football, you're efficient in the passing game, you play good defense, and good things happen. The key to NFL football, or any football, is to be efficient, and the Colts are just very efficient right now.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's a lot of people in New York going, Daniel Jones? Are you serious? Yeah, and here's the pick. Justin Herbert picked off. So, you know, the Colts, 6-1, shockingly. Nobody knows anything. That's what Al Michaels says. Nobody knows anything what's going to happen. So to see the Colts at 6-1, nobody would have guessed that. Mike is a Cal Hall of Famer, so it's in his contract.
In the contract.
If Cal wins, we must show their highlights.
That's right.
And if you only saw one play from the win over North Carolina and the fighting Belichicks, this is it. So Cal's up 4.5 minutes to go. Nathan Leacock looks like he's got the touchdown, but Brent Austin punched it out just before the goal line. I had asked you, did it look like he actually punched it out? And we're going to see a few angles here.
Super clear. You can see it right on the 1.5 yard line. The ball gets punched out right there. And it's Paco Austin. His name is actually Brent, but he goes by Paco. Great job punching that ball out and being Johnny on the spot, because that was going to be the touchdown. There's no way he was going to make the tackle. So rather than go for the tackle, he went for the ball, and that's going to get him a lot of love from his teammates. I know he was on the game film for the team to see the next day when they hand out the awards. That's a heads-up play by a defensive player, exactly what you're looking for.
It seems like it's so prevalent both in the college game and the NFL game that the peanut punch that Peanut Tillman made favorite.
Yeah, I always wonder about it. You see the guy's knuckles, and they got these bruises on them because as they go into punch, oftentimes you catch that face mask too. And so Brent Austin that time making a huge punch, getting that ball out. If you can get turnovers, you can get takeaways. Remember, the week before versus Duke, Cal gave the ball away 4 times. Last week versus North Carolina, they stole it twice. That's the difference in those games.
Yeah. On Saturday, Stanford took on Florida State. The Seminoles are a complete mystery because, I mean, you look, you know, from last year, early in the season, they look like a good team, but now they're just a disaster. Cardinal up 7, 2 seconds left, bad snap. Kevin Sperry throws it in the end zone, incomplete, but they call pass interference here. So there's no time on the clock. Ball at the 2. Sperry shovel pass to Gavin Sawchuk. They say he was stopped at the 1. I am not
that is hard to tell.
Sure about that. He's on another player, and the ball is over the line. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they did not have a good shot, but there's a good chance that was a touchdown. By the way, the Stanford highlights not in my contract.
No, you usually prefer not to run the Stanford highlights. Exactly. But they won the game 20-13. And, you know, Coach Norvell there, I mean, they're having all kinds of problems and issues with that program. It's
2 years in a row. Remember, Coach Norvell signed a $10 million a year contract to go down there and coach. And so last year they had a really rough year. And this year coming back, they looked like world beaters. They got in the top 10, and all of a sudden they're in trouble.
I keep telling you my dream is just to sign one of those deals.
Just the one $10 million
and then have you say, Larry.
And we'll run the gap scheme the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. All right, next Monday night, Commanders and Chiefs, and we're back to the conventional 5 p.m. kickoff, followed by Toyota After the Game. One real quick question here, because the 49ers, they're going to play Houston next week. The Texans playing the Seahawks, as we showed earlier. Again, it sounds like Brock Purdy, with that turf toe issue, is not going to be able to go. They said it would be a reach to expect him to play in the game. Just real quick, more on the turf toe, because it doesn't sound like a terrible thing, but it is painful.
It is painful. I've seen guys have a hard time not come back. I've seen guys come back right away. Obviously, Purdy having a real tough time with it. It's a torn ligament in there. That's the issue when you have turf toe, and so he's trying to overcome that.